This is sign number 5, Jesus walking on the water, and it's out of John chapter 6, starting in verse 16. Here's what it says. Now when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, and after getting into a boat, they started to cross the sea to Capernaum. It had already become dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea began to be stirred up because a strong wind was blowing. And then, when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and drawing near to the boat. And they were frightened. But he said to them, "It is I. Do not be afraid." So they were willing to receive him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. Now the next day the crowd that stood on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other small boat there except one, and that Jesus had not entered with his disciples into the boat, but that his disciples had gone away alone. There came other small boats from Tiberias near to the place where they had ate the bread after the Lord had given thanks. That's sign number 4. So when the crowd saw that Jesus was not there, nor his disciples, they themselves got into the small boats and came to Capernaum seeking Jesus. Okay, so a couple of things here. First of all, we always want to ask the question, what does this teach us about Jesus? Why does Jesus walk on water? Why does he go out to meet them? What is he trying to accomplish with walking on water? All right, that's always going to be an important question, but we also want to remember the theme that we see, some of the themes that we see in the book of John. So water is a big theme running throughout the book of John, and typically what it means is that Jesus is looking at something and saying, "I've got something better," right? He turns water into wine. He says to the man at Bethesda, "I will heal better than this water. I will heal you where you can't even make it to the water. The water's good. I've got something better." Think about the woman at the well. All throughout, baptism, everything. All of these things, we see Jesus saving the best for last. We see Jesus doing better things than everything else, right? So this is what we want to remember, this theme throughout. And it's almost as if John is saying, I want to make sure that you understand that we lived that theme when we were on a boat one time and along comes Jesus, as if to say, I can rescue in the midst of anything. He used water to do that, to achieve that in my mind, John would say. So we see all of these themes throughout the book of John. Water is an important one. And I also want you to remember that Jesus is escaping the mob trying to make him the king. And so there's a question right there, right? What happens when Jesus leaves the crowd of 5,000 men and extras? He's got 12 baskets full of bread. He gives them to the disciples, and he must say to them, it's time for you to go. Then he perceives this crowd is coming after me to make me the king, but that's not a temptation that I'm going to give into. And so he escapes. Now he must have told his disciples somewhere along the road, you guys leave without me. I'm going to be here for just a little bit longer. And they left in the boats going to Capernaum. That's an interesting thing as well. Don't forget Capernaum. Capernaum is where the rich ruler, or the ruler, he was a royal official, and his son was sick, and he traveled all the way to Cana to see Jesus. And Jesus said, go, your son has been made well. Sure enough, his son was made well. They're going now again to Capernaum. I don't think we have actually seen them go to Capernaum. I don't think we've seen Jesus go there yet through all of the Bible. So they're going in that direction. Again, this is Capernaum. Capernaum's not a mecca for religious activity. It's not a mecca for the Jewish people, right? They've got a completely different ruler, a set of different people. All of these things are going on over there. Why does Jesus choose this place? Why is he escaping to this place? What's significant about Capernaum since it's not a mecca, since it's not a capital? Again, we want to remember every time that we study the Bible, Jesus he's fighting for the underdogs. He's visiting those that don't deserve him. You and me, we don't deserve Christ, yet still he comes to love us. Okay, so let's remember all of these things as we look at this text. Why is he going to Capernaum? Also, some questions that we can talk about as we look through this text. Question number one, what does Jesus do after he sends away his disciples? What exactly, after he's done this, he's going to perceive that the people are trying to make him king. What is he doing all of this time? Is he ministering to them? Is he teaching them the Bible? Is he just walking among them, even being with them? At what point do they realize, whoa, wait a second, all of his guys are gone. We want to be his guys. Or we want him to be our king. Or at what point do they realize the man who said grace is the one that's giving grace? There's all of these questions. Question number two, why does he send them away? What lesson are they, the disciples, about to learn? He sends them away in this boat. And that's an important thing, okay? Because A, they're going to go to Capernaum. B, they're fishermen. How much wind has to happen on the sea in order for them to say, whoa, man, this is too much. We're fishermen. And we're throwing up on the side, over the side of the boat. That's a lot. Why does Jesus send them out into that? He's either really mean or he's teaching them something. I would say that he's teaching them something. What is he teaching them? For what purpose does he send them out in the boat? Okay, another question. What does this say about their faith? What does this say about the disciples' faith? How does their faith grow when they see this? And first of all, they see Jesus walking on the water. They don't know what to do about this. They don't know how to handle this. That's Jesus. He's miraculous, yet there's something happening here, right? There's something going on that we don't understand. Do we want to invite him? It's almost as if you look at the text, it's almost as if they have to, Jesus has to convince them. Verse 20 says, he said to them, it is I, do not be afraid. And after that, they were willing to receive him into the boat. Jesus has to convince them to let the Lord in. He has to convince you and I of things as well. All right, so what does that say about their faith, the disciples' faith? What does it say about the crowd's faith? You remember what happens here with the crowd? Verse 22 talks about they go up to the place where Jesus had last been seen and his disciples had last been seen, and they look and they see one boat is gone. That's where the disciples were. There's all the rest of the boats are there. In fact, some other boats start to get there from Tiberias, and they realize Jesus, his apostles, his disciples, none of them are there on the boats. So what are we going to do with this? So they're going to get in boats and they're going to go to Capernaum. To Capernaum, not a place where they're comfortable, but to Capernaum. Again, what does this teach us about our faith? How does our faith grow when we chase after Jesus to the places where we're not comfortable, where we're not welcome, where we're not at home? What does that say about our faith? How does our faith grow when we do that? What does that say about their faith? So that's just some of the questions that we would talk about as we look at Jesus walking on the water. Again, the key question, and I think one of the most beautiful questions, what is he trying to do? What is he trying to achieve? And remember who he's achieving it with. Who sees him walking on water? It's a small group of people. 12 disciples see him walking on water. Wow. So, that's the feeding of that's Jesus walking on water, John chapter 6, verses 16 through 24. God bless. Have a great, great day.